Are music videos still relevant? It's about to be 2026. TikTok has taken over. Instagram is trying to copy TikTok. YouTube Shorts are trying to copy TikTok. Everybody wants short form content right now. Music videos aren't really that long either. They're kind of short, not really long enough to be long form in the eyes of YouTube. So why should people be making music videos nowadays? What's up? I'm Randy. I've been in the music business for 16 years, full time as an engineer. I came from the era where a music video was everything. It was the main hub of where you would see people besides going to their shows. People were trying to break records on how much they could spend on music videos. It was an insane era. Once the content era came out, it was great for small artists because they can have their own platforms that they could build off of. Social media was a thing. You can host your own music videos to your fans that you were gathering. That was great for smaller musicians. It was still tough though, because it still cost a lot of money. It's not like you could release a music video for every single song that you release. You kind of had to pick the song that mattered the most or the one that you wanted to bet the most on. It was still a way to showcase your best foot forward as an artist. Very few people did multiple music videos per project. The ones that really cared and really saw the vision for that were able to do it, but most still didn't. Fast forward to now, social media is dead and interest media has taken over. Now you pretty much have to pay to promote your own stuff to your own followers. It's not a given that your own followers and subscribers are going to see your stuff. So people that have been putting years into work to cultivate an audience for their music, people that actively said, yes, I like that music, I want to follow this person, are starting to dissipate. Short form content has become king for a lot of artists. And even just a couple years ago, it was almost controversy to say, hey, stop making music videos. The money that you're spending on music videos could go to hiring somebody to turn their camera on its side and get a bunch of short little clips. Still, it's rare for people to actually want to do that. They still want a full-fledged music video. I keep telling people, hey, we need 3 seconds before your hook comes in and all the way through your hook. And that's it. I want 20 videos. I want you to take a shot right here, where you're rapping to the camera right here, or singing to the camera, and then you move it to over here, and then you get one where you're sitting right here, one over here where there's a bunch of stuff you can't see and it's probably too messy to look at. That was my mindset for what I thought was going to happen for the future. I saw artists not spending any time on their YouTube page, not trying to grow their YouTube at all. And every time they would release a music video, it would get no views because the algorithm doesn't know who they are and what their audience is. They don't release enough to create that system, that rhythm, that pattern that YouTube likes to push content. So you would have people doing lawnmower reviews. They would be posting once a week and they'd be slaughtering everybody here in the Northwest. I live north of Seattle in Washington State. And out here, you could do a lawnmower review channel and still kill it over most of Northwest artists. Why? Because these content platforms prefer content creators. Musicians releasing here and there, just dropping stuff irregularly, is not going to keep people on the platform long enough for them to be interested. So I kept on saying to people, what you really want to do is create a rhythm of releases. Only way that you could do that without going broke is to make short form content. But most artists don't want to take me up on this offer. Here in late 2025, early 2026, you are seeing the effects of artists that have done amazing runs while doubling down on short form content. You could thank La Russell, Prof, people like Truth the Bull, coming out with tens of videos. Some of them stem from music videos. So let's get to that. I think the future is going to still have music videos. I still think it's a great way to display your song in different ways. But we need to do more than that now. We need the short form content. So let's break down what I think you should do. Let's just say you release a song, you create the music video for that song. Don't do a regular ass music video. Make it crazy. If you have something ordinary like a background like this, something extraordinary needs to be happening. Either you're going crazy, you're throwing this mic all over the place, you're flipping these synths upside down, or there's a dude in a banana suit just standing there staring at the camera the whole time. Something has to happen differently. It can't just be something regular in every single shot. It has to be entertaining. You can't just let some normal ass video go nowadays. I argue never was that the case. You are going to potentially pay the videographer more money for the fact that you should get more takes per shot and potentially create smaller, different versions of each music video. Let me explain that because that doesn't make sense. You're going to want to chop this into a bunch of small music videos for short form content, obviously, right? But while you have the lighting set up right, what you're going to do is you're going to take multiple takes and you're going to do different things within each of those takes. What might make the final music video is cool for that, but we're going to use some of these other takes to supplement for extra videos on short form. We might not cut as much, maybe we'll cut even more. And by that, just chopping up the video into little pieces and switching between a bunch of different pieces. But let's just say you have one shot where you're jumping around in front of the camera and you're going crazy, throwing the mic everywhere. And the next shot is you just staring dead into the camera and the camera's just slowly zooming in on you. Same lighting, same everything else. You already got everything set up. You might as well have those extra shots on hand. And you're going to discuss that with the videographer beforehand and see if they could build that into the pricing. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute. So you're going to have all these extra high quality clips ready to go. I would say for the main shots that you want to have like 2 or 3 different ones on top of the main video idea. I suggest picking 2 parts of the song, maybe 3, depending on how much time and effort you want to spend on this, where you're selecting 30-second clips. So that could be right before the hook, 3 seconds before the hook, and all the way through the hook. That's usually my favorite one because that's the most catchy part of the song usually, hopefully, if you're doing your job. That's the one you're going to be spamming through short form content. For people that have seen that a whole bunch of times, you're going to want other parts of the song that could be interesting, where people know it's the song, the same song, but it's also an interesting part of the song. It's up to you to decide which parts you want, but try to pick very specific spots so that way there's a consistency developed. Let's just say I'm scrolling through TikTok and I hit one of these songs and I'm listening to it and I get to know it, but when you're scrolling through 30,000 videos in 1 minute, it's easy to forget. So you put the phone down. Next time you pick the phone up and go on TikTok, oh shit, you watched it long enough for the TikTok algorithm to show another one of your videos to them. Bam, it's the same part of the song and it gets stuck in their head that way. If it's always something very different the whole time, or you only make one really, really long version of it, they'll never be able to get hooked into the song very well, at least on these platforms. So you're there at the music video. You're asking the videographer to get multiple different takes of you doing different things, not just for the music video for itself, but specifically thinking about content on the side as well. Then you're going to have somebody else. It could be a friend or a family member or somebody that's just hanging out there at the video shoot. You give them a camera to just start shooting vertical videos. Behind the scenes, you getting ready to do something, or let's just say there's a problem during the shoot, you capture that. Everything is content. Everything is interesting. People want to see the behind the scenes also. You want to get 5 to 10 of those. So you're hiring the videographer. If you got to either buy some beer or something for the person that's going to hold the camera and follow you around all day, or you pay them some extra money just to make sure you get some clips. Then, of course, there's you. On this day, shooting the music video, or multiple days, you are going to be really busy. You're going to be running around. You're going to be thinking about a million things. And one of those things is going to be you holding your own phone. You're going to be taking shots of yourself as well. More behind the scenes, more interesting stuff. You could sit there and talk about the song. If it's a deep song, emotional song, you could talk about what inspired you to write that song in the same setting with the same background, so people have that familiar content. What if they liked that clip they saw yesterday? They swipe today and they see your new content, but it's you talking to the camera. If they liked that other clip, then most likely they're going to sit here and try to figure out who you are. So give them a chance to find out. You could basically set up a shot list where within 1 or 2 days of filming for a music video, you could have 20 to 30 different videos. Make sure you do a ton of pre-plan. Again, every single shot's got to be interesting. No boring shots. Don't just hire a videographer for $500 and tell the videographer to figure it out. Spend time learning how to set up a shoot. Have a vision. Get more in depth with the video and the aesthetics, so that way you know how to bring these other camera elements into it. How you could develop other forms of content with that same thing. Then and only then is it worth creating a music video, in my opinion. It's sad to see people spending a ton of money on a music video when that's the only piece of content they're getting out of it. especially in this day and age. Plan for it in the budget. There's the normal music video rate. There's the little extra that you might give them on top to either shoot extra content and edit those clips, or to just give you the raw files. But make sure you warn the videographer beforehand and negotiate the workload so they know what they're doing that day and they know how much to charge you for that properly. Make sure the people around you that are supposed to help film other behind the scenes content will actually show up. You absolutely cannot have anybody flake out on you on these days, and you better have a backup too. One last thing here. Let's talk about short form content instead of music videos. This is the same idea, except for you don't have to worry as much about the setup for the music video. Again, you're still going to want really amazing locations. When people are scrolling, they're seeing the most amazing stuff in the world, and then they stop on your video. It can't look like some boring normal stuff. Something has to catch their eye. So make sure it's visually interesting, make sure the motion of the video is very interesting, and make sure it makes sense with your brand and your music, of course. For one day, I would pick 3 to 4 locations that is semi-close by to where you could roll up, pull out of the car, immediately set up some lighting, and shoot a bunch of takes really quickly so then you can move on to the next scene. If you do this right, you could get a ton of content in one single day. And no, you don't have to have insanely fancy camera gear or anything like that. You could still have your phone. You could use just your phone and maybe a friend and figure this out too. You don't need $1 million. It might take a little bit more pre-production planning, but that's okay. This is your life that you want, right? This is what you signed up for. This is what you're trying to get other people excited for. Why should they be excited if you're not excited? If you're not willing to create really interesting visuals, you're putting all that effort into the music, right? So extend that creativity into the videos. While you're recording the song, think about the video. Where is the scene? What's going to be happening on this scene? What's different about this visual than other musicians on the platform? Figure out who's filming your videos. Figure out the schedule so there's no gaps in the schedule and nobody's flaking on you. Spend a bunch of time on the visuals and the concept, the clothing, the props. How does your clothing match the background behind you? All that kind of stuff. The main goal of this is to get content, to get a lot of content. So even though it may feel overwhelming in the moment, make sure to stop, pause, and get the content that you need. Write down different ideas and concepts and hand them over to your secondary camera person. Or make sure that you are filming those things at the same time. I would personally also add a mini vlog style scenario the day of, so your channel can have more long form content to grasp onto. Me personally, I think you should be doing a lot more of that kind of stuff anyways to pad the difference between releases. So you could start developing a fan base on YouTube, start training the algorithm as to what kind of fans like your stuff. Having multiple different versions of content can allow you to run ads, test out 5 different clips with a little like $5 to $10 or more, whatever your budget has, and see which ones outperform other ones. The one that's outperforming the most is the one that gets more money. It's absolutely worth it to think about this, and I would love to see more artists participate in this. The ones that do tend to go further by a lot. So make some videos, like, share, subscribe, all of those good things.